Brand right now that has to be connected to something a little bit bigger, or a person, or a lifestyle. And the other part is, if you're trying to keep everyone happy, you actually keep no one happy.
If we're looking to value a business, those are the things we look at.
We were known for our hoodies, where we could drop a hoodie, make a couple $100,000 in an hour, and then everyone starts to copy that hoodie. We didn't evolve.
YKTR, what's its competitive advantage to date?
We went through a phase where we try to go really wide. We're in a rebuild phase right now where the core fundamentals are founder-led content, transparency, but it's rebuilding it back around basics. One of the best brands I think in Australia is a brand called G-Up. They only cater towards the 5% of a certain demographic, and that's the whole point of it.
But it's playing on that emotional desire to purchase.
And that's what G-Up do very well, was this is us, f*** everyone else.
If you're in business, do you need a personal brand?
You can get to A to B a lot quicker with one. You used to be able to market to people, put Facebook ads behind it, and people would fall into that. Now they're so used to seeing polished content, it's gone the other way where you want to just be transparent, as authentic as possible.
Yes.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, you can.
If I build a house of brands, if we can get to a $10 million EBITDA, what would that valuation be?
Are they all apparel brands?
Yeah.
Are they all dealing in the Australian market? And what's the specialness of them? Could be multiple.
Nice. It'd be cool when I do it, and then we can run this back.
We're going to talk about all things brand and the key elements to building a strong and successful business brand. Welcome back to Let's Talk Business. I'm your host, James Price. Our guest is Isaac John. Thanks for joining us, bro.
Thanks for having me on.
Don't want to stereotype you, but I guess you're an entrepreneur and a brand builder, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, pretty cliche entrepreneur. I think I moved into entrepreneurship at a time where it was all about drop shipping and like internet money and laptop lifestyle. So I sort of coming through that space, digital marketing, learned a lot of good skills from there. But probably the main thing I learned through doing a lot of different things is that you can't do a lot of things. So I sort of narrowed my focus into building a clothing brand with my friends at the time, and kind of just been hooked on business ever since.
So that's YKTR, the clothing brand. I wonder if you could unpack for us in a snapshot, what are the successful elements of building a business brand from your perspective and building YKTR?
From scratch?
Yeah.
Probably ignorance is probably the best one.
Yeah.
We're building brands for people at the moment, and you just forget how much work goes into like starting a brand. So the key part for me is I was so scared to work a normal job. And I'd watch my dad work really hard, and he just retired like 2 weeks ago, actually. And he provided a great life for me, but I knew that sort of 9-to-5 lifestyle wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to play professional football for a long time. Not a long time, but I finished about 27, 28, knew I wanted to go into business. And just the excitement, the ignorance from starting that brand was the thing that got me going, you know?
What were you ignorant about?
Just how hard it would be. I just thought I was going to walk in and like kill it, like lessons about tax, business. I think the first 2-3 years we didn't pay a tax bill. I didn't even know what it was. Met Danny. And also just building a brand, because at the time there wasn't anyone around that had a clothing brand besides like bigger companies.
Yes.
The biggest one at the time was Zane Robe from Australia that I knew.
Yeah.
And besides that, I don't know any other clothing brands. Now everyone's got a clothing brand and a vlog and a podcast. But we were just moving into spaces where I thought would be good, but no one had done it before. So I think brands go for a 7-year evolution in the clothing space, just from our personal experience and studying other brands. Very early on, we kind of had an aspirational brand where myself, Corey Norman, and Chico Seguiaro, we were all football players at the time. I just retired. We started vlogging. People would see us travel. We would party. The boys got in a lot of trouble as well, which it sounds negative, but it actually helped the brand.
Why?
Well, any media is good media, isn't
Yeah.
it? So it creates a divide.
So was it the intrigue?
Everyone who's a professional football player now has a personal brand attached to it or trying to build it. We were kind of doing that as a crew, as a team at the time.
Yeah.
And it gave people an insight to Corey's life and Chico's life that they hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
They'd see the finished product on TV, but they hadn't seen behind the scenes, and would go travel to Bali and film it all.
Yeah.
So it's very common now, but at the time, 2016, 17, no one was really doing it, so people were intrigued by it.
It was a forefront of content creation, really, wasn't it?
Oh, we weren't like the first ever, but we were around there, you know.
But it was early days, right?
Yeah, and it was very much learnt off Gary Vee. Like he's always been my guy within the content space, and he's like, just vlog.
Yeah.
And I was big into, I don't know if you know him, but like Casey Neistat, like they were the original vloggers.
Yeah.
And I used to watch those guys every single day, and then I used to just start vlogging from there.
Yeah.
But our ideal customer at the time was just a football fan that wanted something a little bit different. So during that time as well, we created a sports media company because I hated journalists. And it sounds sad, but our demographic were people that love to gamble, party,
Yeah.
but over time, our customer base grew up, had kids, so they evolved as well. Where we didn't really evolve, we're still doing that same stuff.
So do you regret the fact that you didn't evolve, or was the brand really focused for that?
The sports media company was focused around that because within rugby league media, there's only two ways you can make money.
Yeah.
It's from alcohol and gambling.
Yeah.
And that's who they're targeting. And I don't take gambling money anymore. It's probably how I could make my most money
Yeah.
if I was to promote it. But at the time, we would take it, because we knew the influence that it could have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think during that time of entrepreneurship, I used to try and lead with a bleeding heart. So whenever there was a problem, I'd always make it my problem.
Yeah.
And at the time, like a lot of the boys within football, they were getting bagged through media. But we knew the truth of the story, but they weren't allowed to say anything. So they never had a leg to stand on.
Yeah, I understand.
So we used to try and use our platform to be the voice of the player and would stick up for everyone. And you start to put your energy in towards going up against big media companies. You're just pissing upstream, aren't you?
That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think of the brand, YKTR, what's its competitive advantage today, do you think?
To be fair, we're in a rebuild phase right now where we went through a phase where we try to go really wide. So we'd do activewear, blah, blah, like we're trying to do everything. Now we're in a space now where there's so many where there's so many clothing brands now, you have to niche all the way down. And then probably it's still the core fundamentals are founder-led content, transparency, but it's rebuilding it back around basics. But what we're actually doing now is we're going to move into a house of brands pretty soon.
Okay.
Because I've actually been studying private equity because
Yeah.
1 + 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3, doesn't it? Sometimes it equals 5. So what a lot of brands try and do right now is they try and go really wide to increase the lifetime value of a customer.
Yes.
But I think right now you can't do that because you have to have founder-led for each product. So let's just say I'm moving into activewear at the moment, which we are, and our activewear range is called 5 to 9, which is the time of the morning
Yes.
that we want to own that helps you set you up for your day.
Yeah.
So our target demographic isn't the guy who's going to run ultra marathons. Our target demographic is the dad who's got a job that uses that time in the morning
Yep.
to then set us the day up. And that's all we want to target. So because there's so many brands around at the moment, you have to niche down to a certain demographic and just go all in on them. And then our YKTR brand is probably moving towards more so basics. So we were known for our hoodies back in the day where we
Yes.
could drop a hoodie, make a couple $100,000 in an hour, and then everyone starts to copy that hoodie. We didn't evolve, We just stayed in our lane, and then we try to just chase shiny different things.
That's interesting, right? So, I mean, you're hinting that brands change. They need to be dynamic. They need to change over time. But it sounds like you've learned some stuff that you're now sort of honing that change with your house of brands strategy, right?
Yeah. So let's just put it this way. When you can tell a good restaurant how it's got a one-page menu.
Yeah.
So if you look at a one-page menu, they might cook 4 mains, and they'll do those really well. You go to a different restaurant, they've got 50 pages. You know the food's going to be cheap and it's going to be shit because the chef can't cook that many things that well.
Well, on that, do they really know what their business model is?
Nah, know. And the other part is if you're trying to keep everyone happy, you actually keep no one happy. That's the important part of brand where one of the best brands I think in Australia is a brand called G'd Up. Have you seen them?
Yes.
And the good part about them is they create a divide with their marketing. Their wording is like us versus them or play for keeps.
Yes.
So they create such a big divide. It's like you're either with them or you're not. And they only cater towards the 2, 3, maybe 5% of a certain demographic. Western Sydney's a big part of that.
Yes.
But they create a narrative through aspirational storytelling that is like us versus them. And then other people will look at their brand and go, I would never wear that. And that's the whole point of it.
In terms of purchasing something, my view is a customer has a need to purchase something or not, but they also have a desire to purchase. You can have a need. I need a hoodie because I'm cold. But the issue is, what's my desire to purchase? Am I going to actually take the time to actually, get out my credit card and buy? And I guess what you're hinting is with the marketing of G-Up, for example, is that it's playing on that emotional desire to purchase.
Yeah. And the best way to increase the value is perceived value. Like we might all make T-shirts or hoodies for the same price. I might make a T-shirt that more expensive than Gucci, but their perceived value of status signaling, of being in a higher class, of putting their cost up, that's how you can increase your margin a lot quicker. They do it through that type of marketing where it's us versus them, plus there's a limited time on when you can get their stock. If you don't get it within the first 24 hours, it's gone and they move on.
So if you think of YKTR, what are 3 words that best describe what that conjures up in your mind and or your customer's mind?
I think the 3 words, I think original, because at the start we were doing things that no one else was doing. We got a lot of growth from that through first movers advantage, where a lot of people would support us, but a lot of people would hate us at the same time. I think transparent. I think when we built our brand, we documented the whole journey. We would share a lot of, like I'd go to China, go through manufacturing, we film it all. A lot of people have built their brand based off online free PDF file that I've given them, or just following our journey. And the cool thing is, people that DM me now, or like with it over the past 10 years, I can see the original message when they were asking about brands. So I've always been transparent about it. And then I think it's probably 2 words, like, and it sounds self-indulgent, but intellectually generous. I think I've shared a lot of knowledge about everything within the industry and still do. And I think through doing so, I think it's given people a chance to come along the journey, not only learn about fabrications and stuff like that, but you see our style of content from back in the day get replicated a lot. And probably a lesson I learned through that phase is I didn't stick to that. I got a little bit caught up in my own like ego. And I was trying to do too many things at a time. And then you watch a lot of people go past you, and then up and down. It's just like,
I get that.
It is.
One of our roles is to value businesses. And in doing that, we value brands. It's a very intangible world, right? Because it's hard. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can't necessarily add it up. What's your view in the elements that go to driving the value of a brand?
I think brand right now, that has to be connected to something a little bit bigger, or a person, or a lifestyle. So like traditionally, if you look at a brand like Nike, they had market share because they had all the marketing bucks. And then you're sitting in front of one media thing, which is a television. Your dad controls the remote. Like a lot of kids who've got into sports, I got into rugby league because my dad rugby league, had love of rugby league, and we had one TV. Now, if you look at kids now, everyone's got their own iPads, everyone's got their own phones. YouTube's the biggest platform in the world. So those kids are more inclined to make a informed decision based off their own experiences of watching YouTube. So if you look at a rugby league player now, just being a good player back in the day was enough. Now it's not. Now they need to be cool off the field. They need to have outside interests, because YouTube's become so big. Personal brands have become so big. Vlogging's become so big. Streaming is the big thing right now. So brands need to be attached to either a movement, a person, or a demographic. And that's what GDUP do very well, was like, this is us, fuck everyone else.
That's cool.
It is cool.
I mean, if we're looking to value a business and we're looking to value their brand, those are the things we look at. Right?
For sure.
We spend a whole lot less time looking at the financials.
Do you ever make up valuations?
Do we ever make them up?
Or is there a set framework?
See this?
The gut feeling.
There's in valuations, it's an art as much as a science. It still is, right? You talk about private equity. I deal with a lot of private equity people. You know, we work with private equity. You know, they're rocket scientists when it comes to crunching numbers, but the reality is they make deals both on numbers but also on feel, commercial judgment. And so there's plenty of times that I've valued companies where the numbers have said X, but I've got an opinion that says Y. Right now, for my professional credibility, I need to justify that, because I might be put on a stand in a courtroom to do it, because evaluation might be something to do with court. But yeah, very definitely, because there's an intangible aspect to brands, as you've indicated, and you know, you talk about movement and connection with individuals. Yeah, that's hard to put numbers on.
Oh, for sure.
But the really valuable businesses, they have that in spades. And it's what I find is it's so sustainable. You know, it's like a snowball going down a steep slope. Once you get that, I mean, you can turn it off by missteps, but it's a powerful thing to the sustainability of a brand and a business. A thing that you spend a lot of time on is your content creation, right? I mean, as a content creator, I mean, you're a bit of a trailblazer. Yeah, as you said, you weren't the first, but I think your vlog, for instance, on YKTR is probably 8 years old, right, or thereabouts. Why is social media and how is social media important to building a strong business brand? Help us touch on the key elements that you see that are critical for a business owner in that respect.
Well, it's just where everyone's time and attention is. Like next time you go to the lights, look to your left and right. Well, like, where's everyone's attention? And like,
definitely not looking at their phone.
You ain't looking at there. You look at your kids. Like everyone's got a media device in their hand now. So it's just like the conversations you need to be having are on those tablets or on phones or on laptops or on TV. And social media is our communication standpoint too there. Now it's also a saturated market. Our time and attention spans are going a lot down. So you just have to be a little bit smarter with it. Now people can sense bullshit from a mile away. Like you used to be able to market to people, put Facebook ads behind it, and like people would fall into that. Now they're so used to seeing polished content. It's gone the other way where like you want to just be transparent, as authentic as possible.
Original,
yeah. You just want to be yourself. Naval Ravikant talks about productization of yourself.
Yes.
If you can build a brand around yourself and it gets obviously monetized in many different ways, services for you, products for us, I can do online courses and stuff as well, could be ad revenue, but you wake up every single day and you can productize yourself talking about things you care about. It just makes life a little bit easier. You know?
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Should you sell, or is it just providing relevant?
Well, it depends on how you define sell. So I was talking to my friend yesterday. I was like, bro, you'd be great at sales. And he, like, his first thing goes, and I go, what don't you like about sales? He goes, I feel like you're selling something to people that can't afford it. You know? So that was his perception of sales, where my perception of sales is if I can frame up something or bundle up something that give someone service and they can get 10x money for that in terms of online courses or something, like you feel a lot better selling. But for me, I try not to sell directly, especially for organic content.
Yeah.
I eventually start using paid media to pick up that next part to start selling.
So is it about the non-paid content is more about value,
yeah,
right? So value and trying to tap into that desire to purchase. What are the factors in there that might make a difference?
No, just build trust. It's like, that's all you do. So like you could give away 95% of everything that you know. Most people wouldn't be able to do it, you know? That's like me. I used to try and hold back because I've got the secret sauce back here. But I just give away everything now.
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff I talk about is like I could easily charge for. But over time, what I do with that, I actually build trust. It's like giving away a training program. Here's a training program to go run a half marathon.
Yes.
You're probably going to do it better if you're training with me, who's a personal trainer, over time. But if I give out 500 of these, you're going to get the cream of the crop. The best guys are going to come back through.
Yeah.
Because the more successful people understand when you're doing like high ticket or consulting, they understand that they're paying for your time so you can save them time.
Yes.
The hardest people to deal with are the ones that are paying the least because they expect the most out of their dollar.
Yeah. Okay. So give value. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting mention about sales, and that's always a classic issue. Sales is like a dirty word.
It is. Yeah.
But I think it's one of the oldest and most important professions in a business model, right? Like, you know, but I like to when I talk about sales with a business client, I say, listen, what's your sales business model? You know, and most of them look at you and think, well, I just sell. You know, I've got salespeople and they sell, or I've got, you know, a website and it, you know, transacts. But it's, you know, not to overcomplicate it, but it's, you know, it's a much more significant process because you're establishing a relationship with a customer one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I see money as like a unit of service. So the better your services, the more scalable your services, the more rare services, you're going to get more units for it. So the more that you serve people, the more units that actually come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that guy, I don't know his name, but I've just started following him, but he talks about, so within, say, let's just say online education, I operate off like a 4-product empire. So I give free content that gets people into the funnel. I have a core product, which is something that costs about $100. I have a high ticket item, which is like consulting. And then I have like private communities. So within that funnel, like I'm trying to get people to go through those.
Yep.
And it's like constantly working. So not only do you get monthly recurring revenue through your subscription model,
Yes.
every day you can get top ups from all these different areas as well.
Yeah.
But I think even that model's starting to get outdated now, where I think the model was James Smith, who's the PT and business guy.
Yes.
He's got like a big spaceship. He calls it like the spaceship, where to do that, you're a lifetime member, but it's cost $2,500. But around that spaceship, he's got all these little satellite courses. So one way, how to create content, like micro content, you know? And then he'll give so much value within that $100 one that they're like, what would I get for this? But also he's got all those satellite pieces of online courses, but he just plugs them into the mothership anyway. So I like that style.
So sort of teasers based on pain points, potentially,
Yeah.
or problems that people want to solve, but then they're entry doors into the spaceship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And then if you're in the spaceship, you've got lifetime access to this, but you get all the courses as well, you know?
Yeah.
So any new course he pops up, he's going to plug it in there first. People are going to go through it, get the reviews. Oh, here's my testimonial, like, you know?
So talk about James Smith. Talk about Hormozi. You're going to write a book?
Is his name, do you know Daniel Presley? Is that his name?
Oh, I've heard the name, but
I think he's Australian as well.
Yeah.
I like listening to him at the moment because he talks about things I'm interested in. I think I'd write a book, but it wouldn't be about me for one. It'd probably be my highest converting content as like little one-liners.
Yeah.
I'd just turn that into a book. It'd be like a coffee table book you pick up, read, and it's like, oh, that's thoughtful.
So look, in the world of content creation and social media, where it's at today, why do people want a book? I'm fascinated.
Validation.
Does it give an extra level of validation and sort of
How many
credibility?
How many authors do you know?
Good question.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Like when you jump on stage of like, I'm an author, you know, like you're like, oh, he must be important. You can self-publish a book, you know?
So isn't that interesting though? But it's a bit old hat, isn't it? Like it's a bit old. It's very traditional.
Nah, but I think it's like there's so many entrepreneurs out there and there's like, you can't really fake writing a book, you know?
I love what you're saying, right? Because I guess, you know, and I wasn't going there with a question, but is this where social media and content creation, the new way, let's call it, even though it's been around, you know, for over a decade, meets traditional world of marketing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, books are as old as, you know, Adam and Eve, so to speak.
They're not going anywhere, like, you know?
No.
Yeah, and they're still a form of value, you know? You can learn a great lesson from some of the smartest people ever, and for like $20-$25. Maybe it's like a legacy conversation that you can have later. So I'm reading Napoleon Hill's book at the moment, Out Tricking the Devil or something.
Yeah.
Really interesting book because I'm in a space where not chasing spiritual alignment, but just asking different questions about it. Yeah. And he talks about God and devil not as the person up in the sky or down in hell, but more so as energy. Yes. So there's good energy and bad energy within everyone. So who the devil targets are the people that don't have a clear path on who they want to be or where they're going. And then he calls them like drifters. So if they're a drifter, they've got no purpose. That's when the devil comes into the mind and plants all these different things. So I enjoy that side of it.
Yes.
And I think eventually my type of content will lead towards that because I'm into books like The Kabbalion. I get my astrology charts read. I'm into human design. So I've got this like little...
So you're interesting. Dude, have you always been that way inclined?
I think when I was a little bit younger, I struggled with religion because I was too like logical.
Yes.
So like we used to do Bible classes and I used to like Adam and Eve, like, you know, and then they had 2 kids, Cain and Abel. First question I used to ask is like, who'd they have kids with, you know? But
please unpack that for me.
Yeah, but like these were inquisitive questions I used to ask. But you find people that don't have spiritual alignment to something bigger than them. And it doesn't have to be always be God, Allah, whoever you want to worship. Like for me, I probably class myself as a pantheist. I use the word universe in place of God.
Yes.
But I feel like those people that don't have spiritual alignment end up getting lost.
Yeah. Interesting, eh? So it's part of your personal brand or personal what makes you tick, right?
It's part of self-development that will end up being personal brand, because I'm still learning about it now.
Great segue, because we're talking about you, the person, right? And we're talking about self-development and understanding. We've talked about business brands, and we've touched on this as well, but I want to tease out personal brands in a little bit more detail. Why is building a personal brand important? And if you're in business, do you need a personal brand?
I don't think you do. You can get to A to B a lot quicker with one. I'm dealing with this guy at the moment. He wants to exit in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And he goes, if I got a personal brand, I can take 6 months off that, 12 months off that. All personal brand does is create an energy around you that attracts opportunities a lot quicker. So all those opportunities aren't going to be good. So you're going to have a certain amount of values to dictate what is and what isn't. But it just makes things a lot easier. You know when you're walking through the airport and there's a travelator? It's like walking on the travelator. You get to the gate a lot quicker.
But in business, typically the businesses we value highly are ones that aren't owner dependent. You know, they've got revenue and earnings despite the owner, right? If the owner wasn't there, they'd still be chugging along.
Yeah.
Personal brand's almost counter to that, right? Because it's saying, but hold on, I've got this business, but I've also, you know, I'm a legend in everyone's lounge room because everyone knows me personally. So is that a positive or is it a negative?
But what was if you grab one of those best businesses and attach the personal brand to that as well? You know?
Well, it's turbocharged, really, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's you're walking on the travelator.
Yeah, and that's your point, eh?
Yeah. That's all it does.
Yeah.
And the thing that's going to happen very soon is obviously like a lot of AI and all that stuff's going to come through. The thing that counters AI is a personal brand. But it doesn't always have to be one or the other, you know?
No.
It doesn't always have to be business or creativity. If you can combine the two, you're away. So you can use personal brand powered by AI to just make things a lot quicker, a lot easier.
Yeah. So we talked about the three things that YKTR sort of brand represents. What are the three things that Isaac John's personal brand represents?
I just want to I think value. I think I offer a lot more value than people within my space. I think authenticity, and then also probably a little bit of reputation as well. So within the online content space, a lot of people, it's a gold rush. Whenever there's a gold rush, there's always going to be pirates, you know? Yeah. So I think like if I talk about clothing, I can point back at, we've had 9 years of experience where I don't think there's many people can do that as well. And like we've said that word bleeding heart a few times. I feel like I genuinely want to help a lot of people. And that's got me in trouble because realistically I should be helping guys who earn 7 figures make an extra 500K through personal brand. Yeah. But I'm doing $1 a day challenge, you know? Yeah. So, and like that's a lesson I'm learning about myself now is like I can deal with high-end clients with personal brands and I can accelerate it a lot quicker and they can pay me a lot more money. But I'm still like in that sort of, I don't mind being in the gutter as well, you know?
Yeah, but kind of why? Is that because, you know?
Because I wish I knew, because when I started in business, there's no islanders I knew in business that I could look to and go, like, he's my guy, you know? It's easy in sports because
they're everywhere,
you know? But within business, there was no one. And say, like, I'm Polynesian as well, like.
The Cook Islands?
Cook Islands, yeah. So, like, when I started, obviously there is Polynesian people within business, but let's just say like Muslims, when they do business, there's a code of ethics around it. Yeah. They don't believe in interest. They believe in contracts, you know. There's rules around it. Yeah. Being a Polynesian within business, we bring culture into business, but it's not always the best thing for the culture. An example of this is like like we love to serve our elders. So whenever Samoan or Tongan sports teams come in, they bring in the elders to run the board and the team. But then once money comes into the into the system, it goes to the elders. Because that's the cultural, that's how they do it, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of them are based around like faith and Christianity, but they don't have those rules within in business to like operate. Yeah. It's interesting.
So you've had, it's been hard to find someone to look up to within your own culture.
Yeah.
You know, to drive your personal brand, but also your business, right?
Yeah, it's just like that conversation we had before about running when I was looking for someone who I could relate to. I think there's a lot of people that want to be into business, but it's like when I grew up, I thought only like rich or white people were in business, even though I'm half white.
Yeah.
Like I remember my mum telling me about the guy who ran New World and he was like really successful in our hometown. I was like, shit, like he's a white dude. You know? So it's just trying to be that version for people that are coming through as well.
What's one good thing about having a Polynesian culture in business?
We're like naturally quite well-rounded in a lot of things, like where a lot of us we had to go through like cultural experiences. A lot of guys go through church. So standing up, public speaking, being charismatic, I can like play instruments. We're taught to perform. Storytelling is a big one.
Yes.
Like storytelling is a big way to transfer culture.
Yeah.
When I had an interview with Mark Boris one time, he didn't know who I was. And to be fair, I didn't really know who he was at the time, but I knew he was like one of the big dogs. And the way I interconnected our stories was like we use stories to transfer lessons across life, and he's Greek, and I was like, yeah, you know, like Greek mythology as well, you guys transfer stories. So the storytelling art of that's pretty important too.
Interesting. Some of our Polynesian clients, business clients, I do rate their culture, their ability to build a culture within their business.
Yeah, and and a lot of Polynesians build their culture through faith and food and family. You know,
they love food.
Danny, we were talking about Danny before. Like I was saying, like Lebanese people are a hack in business because they're like LinkedIn. You know, they know everyone that runs a business and they can connect you all. And if they love you, they'll invite you over for a barbecue as well. And they make the best fucking food.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're built around family. They love being, and that's why Danny's so good at what he does in accounting, because their Kelly Partners isn't your typical accounting firm. They have heaps of fun. They have social, and he's leading the drive, you know?
Yeah, he's out the front.
Yeah. And like they live in these cultures, they're used to being surrounded by a lot of people or family within a close proximity that they feed off it. There's a lot of energy within there, and it's very similar with the Polynesian culture too.
Yeah, the Lebanese culture's it's an infectious culture.
Oh, they're like, they're so nice. They'll just gash. They don't even know. They gash you up, like, you know.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me, what are the things you've learnt along this journey? Because it sounds like, and I don't know whether it was like this, right? It sounds like back in the day when you started, it was like running a race. But I sense that there's more of a journey here now, as a result of where you're at. But I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
But what are the things you've learnt that you would do differently if you had that time over again?
Oh, there was one time I done this thing where like I was making really good money selling personal, like online course stuff. YKTR was flying. I was only in 2 lanes. Yeah. I started to go wider, and I calculated what my monthly, like how much money I'd make right now based off that, and then done it in 3 different projections of like, if it dropped off by 75. And like, I remember seeing a number, and like, you know, you say your man's biggest regret is when you walk past someone or the person you could potentially be. Yeah. I remember seeing that number. I'm like, fuck, I could have almost been retired by now. and that was like the big wake up call. But in saying that, if I grew on that path, I don't reckon I would have liked the person I would have become. No. Because I've got a big ego within inside me. I know I'm a good person at heart, but my ego is very big as well. Yeah. And if I'd just gone on that trajectory straight off the bat, I don't know if I would have been a good person, eh?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I reckon like in my mind, my heart would have thought I was a good person, but the way I used to speak to people, because I was like under pressure, under stress, actually killing it as well. Yeah. Like I remember thinking back on stuff I've said to people at times, or how I've walked into rooms or carried myself. I don't reckon I would have liked the person I would have become.
Did you ever think you'd be where you're at now?
I thought I'd be in a better spot, to be honest.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I've been in business 9-10 years, and like I thought I'd already projected and calculated where I wanted to be at this age, and like I'm nowhere near that. But I do like the version of myself I am right now, because when I scale again, and it's going to happen, I know how to scale this time because I've climbed that mountain before.
Yeah.
And I know what comes at each little bit of altitude.
Yeah.
And the scary one is when you become successful is the people that start to come around you. And the big one I've learned is like, if they flatter you too much, that's a dangerous thing, because flattery is a communication style that feeds ego.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So like ego is like how you get validated from the outside world, how I want you to see me.
Yeah.
And then flattery, that's my quickest way I can weed someone out pretty quickly, because people that only speak from a place of flattery, their intentions are never pure. They're there with you for a reason.
So how have you learnt that skill to be more discerning about, I guess, the people that you rub shoulders with?
Oh, just been on the pedestal and just gone boom, and they're kicked underneath you, you know? Your mum can tell you not to climb a tree. You still climb it, fall out. And then it's like, oh, that's why she said not to climb a tree. You know? So, and I was getting great advice from very successful people. And I'm like, we see the business differently. I can take all my friends with me. Don't worry. I've got this. On the stool. Boof.
Yeah.
There's your lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
you know what I was probably doing? I was riding a bike and putting a stick in myself. And then I'm like, fuck who? Like, who put that stick in there? That's what I was doing. Recently, I've gone through multiple experiences through good and bad within business where I kind of took a step back. And during that time, I was moving a lot within like my masculine sort of side where I'm like, there's the mountain. I'm going to fucking go climb that. No one's going to stop me. And I got to a point on that mountain where I had more money, more success than I've ever had, but I felt empty. Like I'll sit in front of the Eiffel Tower and go, fuck, this ain't it, you know?
Yeah, that's
I felt
interesting.
empty within the side. So I ended up writing down some of the biggest goals I've ever had. And within that time, everything fell apart. Yeah, the YKTR sports failed.
Yeah.
The guys I just spent years building up and a lot of money building up just left and started their own stuff, had no contracts in place, you know. But I was wishing for bigger things. But sometimes when you're trying to expand from a universal standpoint, you have to contract first. And there was times I didn't understand those lessons, and universe keep teaching you those lessons until you learn. And the biggest lesson I learned during those times is like to point the finger back on you. I was broke for like a year and a half. I was like, oh no, it was his fault. You know, it was never my fault.
And then suddenly you got the mirror out and said, aha.
There he is. Here's the guy that fucked up. And like one of the biggest lessons I learned during that time is when people were actually trying to buy a brand or buy into it. I had too much ego because I'd built the brand up, so I thought I needed to sit at the top of it.
Yes.
Where running a business on a day-to-day is not my strength. I fucking suck at it.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at management because I'm like, I wouldn't say I got no EQ, but like people would come in and I've just broken up with my girlfriend. I was like, that's got nothing. No, I wouldn't say that's got nothing to do with me. But in my mind, I'm like, shit, I'm paying you today. Like, I need you to get to work.
I'm really not interested in giving you empathy about that.
Yeah. But the thing was, I was too emotionally invested into my guys, where I'd help them get back with their partners. And there was a kid that tried to commit suicide twice at our business during that time. And he'd come to work and he wouldn't sleep. So I just let him sleep in my office and go home. And even though he was good at what he did, he was bad for the culture, but I was too scared to fire him because if I fired him, I was always scared he was going to go commit suicide and I'd have to live with that. So he'd come to work, he'd have been late 30, 40 times and I'd just let it slide, you know, and then it seeps through the whole company and then things just start getting bad from there.
But bro, that's a really interesting reflection. I appreciate you sharing it with us, right? Because I think a lot of business owners go through that. I mean, how do you break it down? Like, on the one side, I want to sort of say, you know, what are the three things you learned as a result that you would do differently? But on the other side, I think to myself, so was that a journey just to understand and get to know yourself better?
Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, like I've interviewed a lot of sports people, successful business people. Everyone's got this. It's quite linear, you know?
Yes.
You think about a cop movie, the story always starts the same.
Yeah.
Big action scenes, they end up getting suspended. They always solve the crime while they're suspended and they're happy.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of movies, love stories, fall in love, something bad happens. I just think entrepreneurs' journeys are very similar.
Yes.
And when you get to those low points in life and within business, a lot of people jump off. But entrepreneurship is probably more so about persistence, isn't it? Than smarts and IQ.
Well, the ones that come out the other end,
yeah,
it is about that.
And when you're in those low parts, like I said, I probably could have healed, grown, pivoted was probably the better conversation a lot quicker. But there was a lack of self-awareness during those times. It's like, I've done this for you. Why haven't you done this for me?
Yeah. Well, I think in the heat of the moment, you can get bogged down in all of that. And it's also, entrepreneurs, there is, and I've been there too, right? The shiny thing is important, and it sort of impacts the focus. But also I think there's a view that, well, all these things I've got to get done because I want to get to here, right? So there's no prioritization and there's limited focus. And once you haven't got focus, and we were talking about this before, like as humans, the best football players, for interest, are the ones that are supremely focused, right? And they can do things better than anyone else, and they can do things that are superhuman, right?
Yeah.
And same in business, right? The fewer things we focus on, the better we will do them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of only, like, I've been in business like 9 years now. That's kind of I've only kind of picked that up recently, about myself. Like, I think I'm so good at certain things. Everything else is just a distraction from me getting towards that point.
Yeah. But look, any business owner listening to this will I think a number will align to it, because it's not, you're not Robinson Crusoe, but I think sharing it is important, right? Because part of it is being able to, and I often say this, people get sick of me saying it, a successful business owner is one that can take themselves out of their body and be up here and look down and say, what are you doing, fucker? Why are you doing that? Is that really adding to the, to the value?
Yeah.
Or is it just a distraction, right? So it's having the ability to jump outside yourself and reflect on a regular basis, not on a once-a-year review or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And as an exercise I went through, like recently, I actually learned it off the Alex Hormozi, where he goes like, draw a pie, like a circle.
Yes.
Yeah, and then like he's like, what are you good at?
Yeah.
I read it down, and he goes like, what are you out of 10 at that? And I just say like 7.5. It's like, so like most of my time should be spent doing those types of things, and I've been doing that over the past couple months, and it's actually been starting to build.
And you're seeing results.
Yeah, starting, like we've been dropping clothes and selling out like we used to, probably not at the numbers that we were, but you can, business is pattern recognition as well.
Yeah.
Like you've been through so many experiences, emotionally, financially, whatever, you can see the momentum start to build. But the trap is like when it starts to get really good again, you don't the same distractions are going to come back in. Hey, I love you, love your podcast. Here's a bit of equity from the business. Can you help me out? I used to take all those opportunities.
Well, they're all opportunities.
Yeah. And ego, like my ego sits within business and success, and my ego sits within IQ. Like I think I'm a lot smarter than what I actually am. But so when I see those opportunities, I'm like, yeah, I can help you. So then I start putting 6 hours towards that during the week. And then, as you know, it takes time to get a momentum rolling or a snowball rolling. So every 6 hours I spent there, I've already got this golden goose egg that's doing well over here. If I put that back here, it's just going to make more money quicker.
Yeah, I like that. What makes you tick? There's one thing.
I think like when I went through, like we had that media company that failed, got me in like a lot of debt. Debts I'm still paying off now. And I remember going through that phase of like, I'm never helping anyone ever again. Like I'm just going to, next couple of years, I'm just going to put all my energy into me.
Yeah.
And during that time, I didn't really grow.
Yeah.
Because all my time, effort, energy was going into me. But what I learned from reading a book called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success.
Yeah.
And the more you give, the more you receive.
Yes.
So for me, the thing that makes me happy, but it actually benefits me in the same time through better following, more numbers, more opportunity, is the art of giving. And it generally makes me happy because I look at my whole career. Like I said, I've been very intellectually generous with everything. A lot of people that keep industry secrets. There's people I've helped out and I've asked for a feedback. They've never given it back to me. I used to get cut by that.
Yeah.
But I know just through helping people and communicating and making it trying to sound as simple as possible, like that's where my growth is going to be. And that's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I benefit off it.
So are you a confident dude internally, or are you always questioning yourself?
No, I think the word, how do you define confidence? How would you define confidence?
Well, I put it this way, right? I think the really successful business owners I deal with, on what they deliver in their business, they are supremely confident in the sense that they know they're good at something and they know they can deliver it just the way the customer needs it. Now, that doesn't mean they don't question their capabilities. And and refine things, but they know their lane, and they're quite, they don't necessarily demonstrate it in their ego, but they, if you ask them to quote on something that's in their lane,
Yeah.
they got absolute confidence to do it.
Yeah, cool. In that aspect, I am confident in what I do.
Yeah, cool.
But I see confidence as something that needs no validation from anyone.
Okay.
So to me, someone who's confident doesn't need to walk in the room and tell them. You just kind of already know. It's like the lion.
Yeah.
The lion's the king of the jungle. Like you never hear them say it, but you hear everyone else say it.
The lion's not saying, "Hey, I'm confident."
The lion sleeps for like fucking 20 hours of the day, but everyone knows, even we know that they're the king of the jungle.
Yeah.
And there's times where you're going to have to act as a king to do so.
Yes.
And maybe that's when ego comes in that can help you support that.
Yes.
And I used to have this like little story about ego as like your superpower. And like if you think about superheroes as well, they always have the Clark Kent, He's not Superman all the time. He's not Spider-Man all the time. They have that version of themselves that's just a normal person.
Yeah.
And one thing I struggled with very early on is like my ego was validated by success, IQ, and business. So when your sales are going high, ego rises with it. We're building great brands online. You're validated through followers, likes, comments, ego goes with it.
Yeah.
But what I'll do, I'll take that into relationships. I'll take that into friendships. I'll take that into rooms. And then when you get into a place where ego gets challenged, and that, say, mine was IQ in business, if someone would challenge me, I'd want to attack them straight away.
Yeah, okay.
Someone who's confident doesn't need to attack them.
No,
they already know.
it's the last thing they need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll just go,
yeah. So probably we reflect on what you've learnt over that period, that journey, that sounds like that's really developed. Yeah. As a skill.
And like if your ego is attached to IQ, you want everyone to know that you're smart,
Yeah.
And then the hard thing when your ego is attached to IQ, you struggle with feedback.
Yeah.
So the thing I do now is I always ask for feedback because I know that neutralizes my ego.
Yes.
And like, because someone used to give me feedback and I look at them and I'm like, what the fuck have you done? In my mind, I wouldn't say it to them, like that's a bit rude, but like people will give me feedback on business. So I'm like, well, you haven't built a business, so I shouldn't be taking, but they might have a really good point.
You just never know. Yeah.
But ego's up, I'm like, fuck this cunt.
What was that?
Yeah. And like, that's what I said. Like, I think in my intentions, my true vision of myself is I want to help as many people as I can. But I'm still wrestling with that little ego thing around me.
Yeah, but I love that. Like the fact that you're prepared to share that with us, I think is very commendable, right? Because it's part of that, right? If you're not prepared to share it, and there's a whole bunch of things that we all have personally, some of which we're prepared to share, some of which we're not.
Yeah.
Right. And that's us dealing with those things. Right?
And I for me personally, like I share things really well online, but there's times where I've been in relationships or looking in the mirror and I've had to ask myself a question and I don't want to answer that question. So that's been a lesson I've learned, that like I project something really well online, but there's times in private relationships or conversations, fuck that, like burns my stomach where I'm scared to have those conversations with myself.
It hits the ego right between the eyes, probably.
Yeah, and you can front online.
Yeah.
Everyone fronts online in some type of way,
Yeah.
We all, if we take 20 photos of ourselves, which one are we putting up? The best one. Is that a realistic expectation of the average of photos that you've put up, So, but it's also understanding that social media there's an element of performance and even business. And when you go onto the field, there was times I'll do grubby things in the field and like, that's not who you are, but you're just in the state of performance or sport or competition is probably the big one.
So on competition and on the field, did playing NRL prepare you for running a business in a positive way or a negative way?
Everyone asks this question, and probably the thing is within sports, for me to win, you have to lose. Business isn't like that, but I used to think it was like that. Yeah. So I've got a clothing brand, and another footy guy would start a clothing brand. I'd always help out best I could, but I saw that as like competition.
Yeah.
Where there's only so many points you can collect over the course of a season. There's only so many rounds, and it ends up being one winner, and it usually ends up being Penrith. Yeah. Within business, everyone can win.
Yeah.
If you're in the right mindset of sharing, you know, and sometimes you might share with people and they end up being better than you.
Yes.
But that's not because you gave them the information, it's because they executed better than you. And that's the conversation you have with like ideas and sharing stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But the one big one and I've only learned this like recently is what you do off the field matters as much as what you do on the field.
Personal brand.
Not so much personal brand. It's just having a holistic approach on life, training, like having great relationships. The thing with that football players struggle with when they finish is they lose their whole identity because their whole identity was attached to just being a football player.
Yeah.
And once that ends, it goes. It goes. And it's the same with businesses. I do business. I love it. It's my passion, but it doesn't define who I am as a person where it used to, where my happiness was dependent on sales.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we were flying.
Where you've removed that connection.
It still matters, but it shouldn't define.
It's not the only thing that matters.
Yeah. Or like if sales were down, like I wouldn't go work out. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And during that time, it's probably the least healthy I've been. Like I never used to train. I used to think I'll get to the office at 4 and I'll outwork everyone, and that's how I'll get like success, you know. Or when I remember sitting in the office for like 16 hours one time and everything was going wrong. Like I'm not leaving this office till I like write this down and go. And after that 16 hours, I didn't have one solution. Because sometimes when you're in the hornet's nest, it's hard to see. Like you said before, you need to zoom out to look down sometimes.
Well, you do, yeah.
Yeah, and the Stoics had that sort of belief, you know. And the solution to those problems actually happened when I was out running or in the water.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Right. Are you a patient dude, or have you learned to be patient?
No, zero patience. No, I'm struggling with patience, but I like when people come to me and like, oh, I'm like 6 months into a clothing brand, it's not working, you know, with age, time and experience, you can look back and share that. So I think I am patient, but naturally I'm not. I want it now.
It's really interesting because I'm the same, right? I've never had any patience, very poor patience. Just, you know, I want something, I set out to do it, right? But over the last probably 10 years, I've become more patient, and I watch myself from up here as I'm doing it, and I feel it, right? It's like your ego thing. Like I want to do it and I want to make a decision, but I frustrate myself because I don't make a decision. And it's almost a bit of a game with me that I play, but I play it honestly to say, okay, no, I'm just going to see what happens if I make a half decision on this. And it, you know, it's like putting a fishing rod out, a line out, and seeing what happens and seeing if the fish will tease. And I found it's really interesting, right? But it's good for me, right? It's against my judgment, right? Because as a business owner, I have zero patience. But that's got me into a few problems over the years because sometimes, you know, you think it's a great decision, but the universe doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. But so patience is an important thing. I find successful business owners, it's kind of sort of a side of one coin. Patience is important, but also impetuousness and the ability to drive and move at a different speed is also important.
Yeah, and that's like the guys who I wouldn't say look up to, but the guys who I admire within business, like the speed that they work at is like kind of uncomfortable when you first hang around it. It's like when you go for a run with someone and they're quicker than you, you're fucking gassed. Or you lift with someone who's stronger than you, you're like, I'm struggling here. And then you get to meet these people and there's kind of no other outstanding characteristic about them. Like there is obviously time, patience, persistence, taking the courage to build a business, but it's just like the speed they work at is like, fuck.
Yeah,
you know? And they're busier than most of us, but they still I'll text him, he'll reply straight away. Yeah. Just like stuff like that. So that's stuff I'm learning like now.
I think it's important. It's an important lesson. And you know, I don't know, for me, I've never got to the end of the road, right? But I'm learning all that. I'm still learning it, right? Yeah. But I think you know, the gym analogy is a good one, right? Get in the gym with someone that lifts heavier than you. It'll help because you'll learn to stretch yourself and be a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, for sure. And the other part is like the pace that you work at. I used to expect everyone else to work at their pace too.
Yeah.
And that's probably where patience is coming in for me.
Yeah.
And like I deal with a lot of creatives as well. So creatives work in a different part of the brain, you know.
Oh, they're weird.
You put time. You put timelines, invoices, and budgets in front of them. Like it takes away from that part of them as well.
It does, yeah.
So it's just like learning to be in both. And I feel like I can operate in both quite well. Not at the same time, no one can. But it's like being understanding within that. And a lot of times I get frustrated with myself as my own doing through like a communication early.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't get mad at a manufacturer that's got the exact same manufacturing times every single time. And I'm like, where's my hats? Like, I know what the manufacturing time is. I just need to be organized a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You know, so that's been like frustrating one. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, you can.
So say if I build a house of brands and there's 6 brands, some are vertical, some are owned by other people, we're all underneath the same. Say if we can get to a $10 million EBITDA,
yes.
what would that valuation be? It doesn't have to be perfect, but is it better to have
Are they
all clothing?
Are they all apparel brands?
Yeah.
And are they all dealing in the Australian market?
Yeah, probably Australia, New Zealand. Maybe there's one that could transfer to Aussie quite well, or to America quite well.
And what's the specialness of them? Are they all direct to customer?
They're all D2C and they're all creator led. So like instead of like just say a creator led version of LVMH.
Yeah.
So instead of like LVMH owning all the like designer brands, we're like, all right, cool. We see a gap in the market for this type of thing. We identify the creator to plug them into it to drive it, but we've got the machine behind it.
Would there be any IP in some of the, if you look at some of the activewear brands and other brands today, they've got IP in the fabric or the way that they're designed?
Probably not.
No?
Probably more so logo, branding, creative.
Yes, okay. But there'd be separate brands that'd be linked to the creator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 10 million EBITDA. 10 million EBITDA. Well, you'd be looking to sell them probably on the public market or to private equity.
Yeah.
And I think, right off the bat, there's a lot of things that come into it, right? But what I like about it is the diversity, right, of the house of brands versus the one, because you've got an umbrella brand, but potentially, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it will be an umbrella brand.
And then you'll have sub-brands, but sub-brands that will be linked into their own markets, right? So that gives that removes some of the concentration risk, right? And it allows you to penetrate different markets. Could be 5-10 times multiple.
Nice. Sweet. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
It'd be cool when I do it and then we can run this back.
Disclaimer, this is only general. No advice given. No, but do you know what I mean? I mean, the key is, and if you're going to build that, you should be looking at who are the players above me that might be exit opportunity. Right?
Oh, so you just buy it.
Well, who's in the market now that's a hell of a lot bigger that may not have the authenticity and brand strength that I'm going to build, but might be natural acquirers, right? I mean, private equity is an interesting game because they're not specialists in the product. They're money people, right? And they just work on arbitrage. No, and I'm not being rude to private equity because we deal with them. They're clients of ours. They're good, they're an important part of the business acquisition market, right? And they're quite useful often as a alternative to a trade sale or to a public listing, right? Because they can grow a business up to the next stage through adding additional capital to take it, let's say the business was a 5 mil EBITDA and you wanted to eventually list it. Ideally, you need to get that EBITDA potentially up to 15 mil in order to list it. A private equity
could get you from 5 to 15 a lot quicker.
It's not about. It's one way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
But there are trade-offs because you lose control. They've got different views about, money and performance versus some of the other things that you might be interested in. But ultimately they're looking at the risk of the investment. So a house of brands with specific and genuine focuses on different target markets, with the authenticity of their creators around those brands, and the penetration of those brands in those markets
Yeah.
will be the things that they'll look at.
Yeah.
Right? Because ultimately, say you had 6 brands under a house of brands, but one of them was selling 80% of the apparel.
They'll just pick up that one.
Well, they'll pick up that one or say, I'm not going to pay a 10 times multiple or even a 5 times multiple for
Gotcha.
a business that's got concentration risk, because if that was to fall over, if that brand was sourcing out of China in an area where there was issues around, the quality of the sourcing aspects,
Yeah.
and suddenly there was some bad media on that would impact. I'm just
Yeah.
using that as an example, right?
Gotcha.
So getting that diversity to manage that risk, it's like a share portfolio. You can put it all in BHP, and if there's a mining boom, well, that's fine. But what happens if the cycle turns?
Yeah, gotcha.
Where you've got a little bit more balanced portfolio. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what we're doing at the moment is we're actually building that out, and there's a few different verticals that we can go into, plus some other creator-led people that are going to be part of it.
Yeah.
But the start of it is like you just save manufacturing costs, and like we can share expertise to save everyone, like costs for the bottom line off the bat. But it's in like attaching it and scaling it. That's the next part.
Well, but that's the other opportunity that acquirers will look at, and it's not just, I'd look at PE firms that might be interested, right? But I'd suggest you also need to look at, large apparel players, brand players that are in that market, but large ones, international ones, that might see this as a bolt-on acquisition down the track.
Okay,
right?
gotcha. Yeah.
And if you've been able to sort of drive efficiencies on your manufacturing side, then that scale benefit goes to margin.
Gotcha.
Right. And then so smart to be looking at not just the brand on the front end, but also the business model at the back end. And certainly, I get where you're going with that. Like that makes a lot of sense, right? Because
you see like obviously like those bigger acquisition firms, they've been buying a lot of brands, and at the time those were like sort of like Virgil, who owned Off-White, Heron Preston.
Yeah.
But once they bought them, they bought Supreme as well. The value of it goes down because it kind of loses that buzz around it,
Well, it's very interesting. We did I've done a few podcasts with large businesses that have been sold to international companies. I mean, for instance, the owner of a business that sold his business to JD Sports. It's a very different business today than it was under the owner who was my client. And you see that. You wonder why.
It's hard to scale authenticity.
It's very
authentically, yeah.
It's very tricky,
yeah.
Right? And depending on the acquirer and the time and place, some acquirers will know that. And they'll say, well, Isaac, we're happy to pay 10 times. We'll give you 5 times right now, but we want you to stay with us for 5 years.
Yeah, I see that a lot, yeah.
Because, the authenticity, we're not going to pay that big dollars without seeing that transfer. So they're the smart guys. There's plenty of dumb guys that are big guys that just say, we're packaging this up to a bigger thing and a bigger opportunity. We need to know that those brands are part of our portfolio. We'll buy them straight out and move them on. And sometimes you see them, they wither and die.
Yeah.
And you think, where's all the value? It just got...
it's like Porto started in North Bondi, as a little chicken thing. And then once it scales out to franchising and you get 15-year-olds putting your burger together and the lettuce is hanging off the side, you just kind of loses its buzz, eh?
Well, it does, but yes, that's business, right?
Yeah.
And there are opportunities and disadvantages in all of that. But I'd encourage you to... you're not exiting; you're building, right? But just spend a bit of time thinking about.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like I learned this early on where I was like, I'm just going to be in this forever, But then when I met with like my mentors and stuff, it's like always have that exit strategy in mind, so you know who you're talking to, and there's actually like a goal there. But I think I'll be in like the clothing because recently I've just got right back into the clothing side, and I love it. I forgot how much I loved.
That's good
because there was so much other shit that I was trying to do. I was trying to solve fucking player management in sports and sports media and fucking who cares. But now I'm back in this place where things I'm actually good at. You know, I love it. And then helping other people, but then they become a part of the brand and stuff like that.
So you got to have passion to do what you do, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the two things I like is clothing and branding, and then obviously personal branding and content.
Yeah, but that's good. Did you know that, though? Go back 10 years ago, or when you started YKTR, did you know that? Would you have been able to say that to me?
Nah, no way.
No.
No. And it's like, you know, there's that analogy of like your gift in life. Say an apple tree breeds an apple, but they don't eat their own apples. Like that's the gift they need to share with the world.
Yeah.
I think you just have to go through the roller coaster to realize, fuck, this is my ticket to the next place, you know?
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I just talked about JD Sports before. Let me unpack that story just briefly, right?
Yeah.
So my client built an online sporting goods business to 100 million turnover, 100 million pound turnover.
Sheesh.
He was a British guy, and basically doing online sporting goods when no one else was doing them, right? And back in the day, early 2000s from memory. And he started from a single retail high street store, and then he got a few additional ones, and he figured out they weren't making money, so he closed most of them down and just did warehouses. So he covered the UK, Europe, and the US, but it was all online, right? But built it to a £100 million business in terms of turnover, and JD Sports looked at it and was the eventual acquirer on the basis that at the time they had 4,500 retail stores worldwide, but they didn't have a strong online.
Cool.
Right? Now, my client, when he opened this business, his view was he was going to sell it eventually. He didn't have a clear time frame, but he knew from day one the sort of potential acquirers that would be interested.
Gotcha.
And not that he shaped the whole business around that, but he knew the value proposition that they would like.
Yeah.
Right? So he wasn't punching in the dark, so to speak. And I guess, you know, so it was a bit of a wake-up call to me to say, you know, if you're in business, you may never sell because, you know, you're getting a decent return, you've got the passion, you're growing, you're happy. But if you ever want the option, better have done a bit of homework ahead of time because it makes it a whole lot better to maximise value on the out. Yeah.
And even like when you're forecasting, like when stuff like that happens, even just framing up, like an example of this is when I deal with personal brand people, like their first bit of hate that comes in is always really hard for them.
Yeah.
So like for me, I was like, oh, you need to have like some quick fire responses to sort of combat that, like, or have simple frameworks that you can use.
Yeah.
So it's even like when we a guy tried to acquire us earlier within our business, I was like, fuck, we're away, you know?
Yeah.
And my expectation and weight behind that was like, we were going to get this like payday because of what we were doing. And the offer that come in like actually like rattled me, where all he wanted to do was just close down the current business. He would take over 60% because he was the manufacturer and just give us 100K working capital. And I was just sitting there going, what? I was going, fuck, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Like we were making that like in a day before, you know?
Yeah.
So it was
But it's preparing yourself for that, right? Yeah. So you can handle those decisions a lot better.
Yeah, and I used to move with so much emotion because I cared so much, you know, and I've learned now, and like even people I've dealt with in business where I've given them so much business, but when things are going a little bit bad for me and they're chasing up invoices, that's when business becomes a little bit more real and lawyers start to get involved. And over time, I always end up paying them back because like that's how the person I want to be, but they forget about everything else that's happened.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks to go through, but like it is what it is.
Oh, it hardens you up and gives you experience.
Yeah. And that's like even now, like there was a time where we were about to take off when all this big ad revenue or stuff was going to come in, and I took a loan at the time at high interest, and I'm still fucking paying that loan off now. And I used to fucking like run away from it, and I was like, now I've sort of taken it head on. Like you start to think of solutions and options and get out of it, and it's annoying because you know you can build a business quite well, but every dollar, instead of moving it into $4 within clothing, you're using it to pay off a dumb decision you made based off emotion back in the day, you know?
Yeah, but it's learning, right?
Yeah.
You just don't want to make the same one twice, right?
Yeah, that's the lesson I'm going to learn.
Appreciate your energy.
Thanks, man.
And thanks Thanks for joining us on Let's Talk Business.
Yeah, I'll come to you for selling a business one time.
By all means, if you want a valuation, don't come to us.